Hey guys, tonight we cradle our heads not on plush memory foam or squishy down, but on ice, cold porcelain, ornately painted, and shaped somewhere between a brick and a moon. You're drifting off in ancient China, and surprise, your pillow isn't just weird, it's doing things to your dreams. Some of these ceramic cradles are designed to ward off nightmares, others to invite celestial visions, and a few are just straight up fashion statements for the elite sleeper. One minute you're chasing a golden carp through bamboo groves, the next you're being judged by your dream journal. And here's the catch, you probably won't survive this night without a stiff neck and some cosmic bureaucracy. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Post your location and the local time you hit play. I love seeing where everyone's listening from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your eyes flutter open to moonlight filtering through silk curtains. You're lying on something hard, smooth, and just slightly cool. No, it's not a prank. It's your pillow. Rectangular and heavy, it's made of glazed porcelain, hand-painted with peach blossoms and cloud motifs. Welcome to the Song Dynasty, 12th century. You groggily adjust, cheek pressed against ceramic, and realize the room is completely silent, except for the muffled splash of a koi pond outside. Unlike your mattress, which is some quilted layer of straw, or maybe pine boughs if you're rustic, this headrest isn't here for comfort. It's art, medicine, and spiritual technology all at once. The ancient Chinese didn't always see soft sleep as the goal. A pillow like this was thought to cool the mind, keep posture correct, and yes, help channel dreams more clearly. Your fingers trace a small character etched on the side. Mung, mir eng, meaning dream. That's your reminder. You're not just sleeping. You're preparing to receive messages from the other side, from ancestors, from your own subconscious-made myth. In some households, this wasn't even optional. Families would place a child's head on a special dream, training pillow to shape their nighttime thoughts toward moral or scholarly ideals. Sweet dreams, Confucius style. Now you sit up a little and glance around the modest bedroom. Clay oil lamps flicker. A lacquered screen shows a crane flying above pine trees, a traditional symbol of longevity. You're in the guest room of a low-ranking official, which means this pillow isn't the fanciest kind. But even the simple ones carry importance. Some wealthier families sleep on porcelain pillows with phoenix handles or built in fragrance compartments. Yours has a hidden compartment too. It holds a few crumpled silk sachets filled with dried chrysanthemum and mint leaves. Not just to smell nice, but to cool your temper and harmonize your liver qi, whatever that means. Historians still argue whether these pillows were truly believed to influence dreams, or whether they just reflected a culture obsessed with interpreting them. You're leaning toward the former because, as you lie back again, a tingling sensation builds at the base of your skull. Probably psychosomatic. Probably. You're definitely not thinking about that one scholar who claimed the wrong pillow shape could attract demons or drain your essence. Totally fine. Across the centuries, Chinese sleepers tested every possible headrest configuration: crescent moons, domed half, pipes, stacked rectangles, even animal-shaped ones like crouching tigers or curled cats. A fun fringe theory claims cat-shaped pillows were favored by insomniacs hoping to borrow feline energy. Makes sense. You've seen cats nap through earthquakes. One particularly eccentric noblewoman even commissioned a porcelain pillow shaped like her own foot. Her reasoning? She'd dream better if her head mimicked her foot's resting angle. That one didn't catch on, but you admire the creative hustle. Meanwhile, the prevailing medical wisdom of the day held that softer pillows trap too much heat near the brain. Too warm. Dreams become chaotic. Too chaotic. Well, don't blame the emperor if you dream you're flying and wake up believing you should quit your job to study dragons. That's on you and your overstuffed goose feather headrest. As you let your eyes close again, the cool surface of your pillow pulls away the heat of the day. You've walked rice terraces, avoided street performers with suspiciously accurate puppet shows, and declined several unsolicited acupuncture sessions. This brief comfort is welcome. The hardness doesn't matter anymore. You've adjusted. And as the ceramic surface anchors your thoughts, dreams begin to roll in like fog over a quiet field. A scholar riding a crane lands beside you in a forest. He hands you a bamboo scroll and points to the moon. You nod solemnly as if this makes sense. And maybe, just maybe, it does. Her word count 1 ayo 76 ifi. Awaiting COTINE BNNNI CONTINE ChatGPT YNNI. Section 2. Your eyes drift shut again as the moon sinks lower. And in this lucid, half-waking space, a new idea flickers behind your eyelids. Dreams aren't just dreams, they're data. Portals. Messages. You lie there, your head still slightly chilled by the porcelain beneath it, and realize that in ancient China, especially during the Han and Tang dynasties, a good night's sleep came with paperwork. That weird flying donkey nightmare. Somebody wants a full report. This belief wasn't just the domain of eccentric mystics or drunk poets. No, dreams were taken seriously, especially in the imperial court. Emperors kept dream recorders on staff. Their whole job was to listen to what the emperor dreamed each morning and translate it into omens, predictions, or policy tweaks. Imagine HR getting involved because you dreamt about too many turtles. You shift slightly on the pillow and wonder, if your dreams tonight were being transcribed, would you be praised as spiritually enlightened or quietly demoted for dreaming of noodle shops again? Dream interpretation was an art form back then. A white horse might mean fortune, unless it galloped too fast, which meant you were rushing through life, which might mean your third cousin was plotting against you. You can see how this could get out of hand quickly. And it did. Entire dream dictionaries circulated among scholars and the elite. Some were based on Confucian ethics. Dream about falling, and it means moral failure. Others were steeped in Taoist cosmology, reading symbolism from elements and celestial movements. Of course, the average farmer probably didn't wake up and write down his dream about chasing turnips through a thunderstorm. But in noble households, dreams were treated like nightly dispatches from the spiritual bureaucracy. You turn your head and feel the slight ridge of the pillow's floral engraving press into your temple. There's something strangely grounding about it. These dream-focused pillows weren't just spiritual. They were designed to remind the sleeper that dreaming was part of their life's moral ecosystem. Sleep wasn't an escape, it was a check in with the universe. Historians still debate whether dream recording began as a religious act or a political one. Some say the early emperors genuinely believed the divine spoke through dreams. Others suggest it became a convenient way to justify decisions. Sorry, I must exile my brother. The dream said so. Either way, the result was the same. People stared at their pillows at night and wondered what the next 8 hours would reveal. One fringe belief from the Tang period claimed that if you slept with your pillow oriented precisely 37 degrees northwest, your dreams would align with the Jade Emperor's court. Was that true? No idea. But you do shuffle slightly, just in case. You're still lying in the same guest room. But the wall scrolls now shimmer with moonlight, and the brushstrokes seem to shift. The long, bearded scholar painted their moves subtly, like he's peering into your dreams too. That's not creepy at all. Totally fine. Just a regular painted man watching your REM cycle. The pillows, you recall, sometimes came with inscriptions or short poems etched into their sides. These weren't just decorative, they served as mental cues to nudge your subconscious toward specific themes. Loyalty, wisdom, serenity, like pre-loaded dream software. One famous surviving pillow reads, "The clear spring does not choose its drinker, but the wise will find its taste sweet." That's either deep or a passive, aggressive note about dream hygiene. Another pillow found in a noble tomb was shaped like a lotus flower and carried the inscription, "In dreams, I return to the mountain of immortals." That's the vibe. Your own dreams tonight seem to be leaning that way. There's a misty mountain forming now behind your eyes, and someone is offering you tea that smells suspiciously like stardust. You pull your sleeve a little closer under your chin. The room is colder than it should be, but then again, porcelain doesn't hold heat well. That's intentional. Cooler heads are thought to dream clearer, and a clear dream means fewer surprises come morning. Even modern researchers speculate that lower sleeping temperatures affect dream vividness. Maybe these ancients were onto something. You shift again, the pillow making a soft scraping sound against the mat. And suddenly, you're somewhere else. A large room, sandalwood scented, filled with rustling scrolls. You're inside a Tang Dynasty dream archive. Rows of bamboo shelves stretch outward, each stacked with dream transcripts. Scribes in robes whisper and point at diagrams of clouds, phoenixes, and river spirits. A young woman runs up to you with a wax tablet. "We need your dream report," she says breathlessly. You floated past a red gate holding a bell. Was it ringing? You stare at her, stunned. "I don't know." "Typical," she mutters, jotting something down. Unfocused consciousness. Probably a blocked meridian. Drink more chrysanthemum before bed. You blink, and the scene dissolves. Just the quiet room again. Just the koi splashing outside. The dream archive might not be real, but the sense of importance lingers. Your dreams tonight feel like they matter. Not because they're magical, but because so many people once believed they did. And as the night deepens, and your thoughts begin to loosen again, you wonder what your morning dream scribe would write. Probably something sarcastic. Dreamer observed pursuing celestial goose while avoiding philosophical responsibilities. Same as always. Her word count, 1066 awaiting. Bean and Pinano and Kanakontianai ChatGPT. Section 3. The air in the room hums faintly as morning dreams curl away like incense smoke. But you roll over, carefully because again, porcelain, and the scene blurs. The embroidered silk under your cheek ripples, and time slides sideways. You're still in ancient China, but now it's the 8th century, and you've landed smack in the golden age of pillow obsession, the Tang Dynasty. Outside, Chang'an bustles with life. Market stalls hawk silks, spices, and something new, rows and rows of elaborately crafted headrests. Turns out you've arrived just in time for the pillow boom. Artisans are in high demand, and your host family, minor nobility with a flair for sleep accessories, has arranged a very special day for you. You're going pillow shopping. Don't let the term shopping fool you. This is less bed, Bath & Beyond, and more Sotheby's auction meets dream tech convention. Pillow stalls line the marketplace, and each craftsman boasts a different style, a new theory, a secret clay mixture. There's a man who swears his pillows include crushed jade dust to filter nightmares. Another offers heart-shaped ceramic pillows glazed in oxblood red, meant to ignite romantic dreams. So you skip that booth. It seems like a setup. The range is staggering. Porcelain lacquer, bronze, even wood with mother of pearl inlays. Some are shaped like lotus buds, others like reclining animals, and one particularly strange one looks like a cloud struck mid-lightning bolt. The artisan behind it explains, "Sleep on this, and you might dream of becoming an immortal." Or, he says with a wink, "You'll just get a sore neck and a cool story." You pick up a crescent-shaped pillow glazed in celadon. It's heavier than you expect. The glaze is cracked just slightly at the edges, a sign it's been properly kiln-fired. The vendor leans in, lowering his voice to a reverent hush. Tang Empress Wu Zixin once owned one just like this. Historians still argue whether Empress Wu was a patron of pillow artisans, or if this is a convenient marketing myth. What's certain is that dreams, and the tools that shape them, mattered deeply in her court. Dreams were political. Dreams could hint at divine legitimacy, having the right kind of dreams made your power seem preordained. And a well-crafted pillow was the first step. You carry the pillow back to your quarters, accompanied by a curious cluster of neighborhood kids who've never seen someone spend so much time debating between jade and lacquer. One of them asks, "Do you think it'll make you dream of flying?" You nod sagely. Or at least of falling less dramatically. That night, you place your prize beneath your head and let it anchor you to the earth while your thoughts loosen from it. The shape cradles the back of your skull without pressing into it. Tang artisans weren't guessing, after all. They'd been refining these for generations. There's balance here. Pressure points relieve just enough. Your shoulders drop. Your breathing slows. The room fills with shadows, ink, brush dark. Your new pillow smells faintly of the shop it came from. Charcoal, rice paper, and a hint of something floral. Your thoughts are drifting, and then they're not yours anymore. You're standing in a dream garden, the moon, so big it feels like it might fall. A court musician plucks a pipa under a magnolia tree. The music glows. You wake, just briefly, and realize this dream is exactly the kind that would have been recorded in court scrolls. Dreamer hears heavenly song. Good omen. Suggest more funding for arts. Back to sleep you go, heart oddly light. Outside, dawn creeps into the corners of the window lattice, but you're still floating. The pillow beneath you, solid and cold, seems to hum with quiet pride. You chose well. Fringe tidbit for you, during this Tang pillow craze, artisans began branding their work with small seal marks, like Dream, signed autographs. Some were calligraphic, others used tiny animal symbols. One famously eccentric potter left behind a whole series of frog stamped pillows, claiming frogs guided peaceful sleep. No one really knows why. Frogs aren't especially cuddly, but hey, who are we to judge the amphibian dream path? Pillow workshops became their own economy. Apprentice artisans learned under master ceramists, spending years perfecting curve angles and glaze absorption rates. One guild even hosted a dream interpretation contest for marketing. Whoever could unlock the most compelling customer dream won a commission to design a whole pillow line based on it. So yes, imagine Shark Tank but for dream furniture. You stretch your legs beneath the quilt and realize your dream just now. Moon, magnolia, musician could probably get you a mid-tier commission. Maybe something with a built-in pipa compartment. The booming pillow market didn't just reshape how people slept. It reshaped how they thought about sleep. Nighttime wasn't downtime anymore. It was an active ritual, a chance to sculpt your subconscious with clay, glaze, and intentional geometry. A pillow wasn't just a place to lay your head. It was a dream compass. And this era, this golden Tang pillow moment, laid the groundwork for centuries of sleep innovation to come. Future dynasties would adapt the forms, debate the materials, remix the inscriptions. But it all started here, in these candlelit stalls, with artisans chasing the perfect curve of the human neck and the most auspicious shape of a dream. You roll to one side and smile faintly. Your pillow, cool and proud beneath your head, accepts your gratitude like a silent old master. You both did good. Your word count 1089 awaiting. CNTA. Binanana. So Antiani ChatGPT 1I, Section 4. Your eyes open slightly to find the room drenched in dawn. Blue. Somewhere in the distance, a rooster considers its options. You lie motionless, chin barely tilted by the crescent-shaped pillow beneath your head. And that's when the ache creeps in. A polite nudge at first, then a distinct, "What were you thinking?" from your upper spine. But don't panic. You're not injured. You're merely sleeping like someone from a civilization that prioritized celestial alignment over chiropractic approval. In ancient China, pillow shapes weren't about lumbar support or comfort. They were about vibes and spirits. Mostly spirits. You sit up slowly and stare at your porcelain headrest. It's beautiful, sure, but curved like a boomerang, and about as cozy as a garden bench. You reach out and trace its smooth edge again, this time with more suspicion than reverence. Did this thing just give you prophetic insight, or did it press your ear in so hard you started hallucinating? In any case, it's time for a field trip. You slip on your shoes and follow the morning crowd toward a nearby shrine rumored to house one of the earliest examples of a spirit-shaping pillow. That's right, some pillows weren't about dreams per se, but the spirits who might visit you during them. The logic went like this. If the pillow was shaped properly, spirits could land on it, kind of like a runway. For ghosts, historians still argue whether this belief was metaphorical, like letting thoughts alight, or literal, as in a ghost just sat on your forehead. Either way, pillow shapes took on layers of meaning. Crescent moons, phoenix wings, flowing clouds, all symbolic invitations for spirits to bring messages, healing, or occasionally unsolicited advice. At the shrine, you see one of these rare moon-shaped pillows displayed in a glass cabinet. It's smaller than you expected, barely big enough to fit a chin. Crafted from milky celadon, it gleams faintly in the morning light. A nearby plaque reads, "To cradle the skull is to cradle the soul." The form invites the unseen. No pressure, right? There's a carving at the base too, a bat flying toward a peach tree. In traditional Chinese symbolism, bats represent good fortune, and peaches longevity. So if you dreamed of eating a peach while flying like a bat, you were having an excellent night. A passing monk notices your interest and offers a story. This one, he whispers, was made for a widow who wanted to see her husband in dreams. She slept on it for 30 nights, and on the final night, she dreamed of him standing beneath a peach tree, smiling. You try to decide whether that's comforting or mildly terrifying. Probably both. You return to the guest house, your mind buzzing with images of spirit, friendly furniture. That night, you choose a different pillow from your host's collection. A slightly concave rectangle made of lacquered bamboo. It's cooler to the touch and inscribed with 5 tiny cranes in flight. The artisan's intention was clear freedom, transformation journey. That's what this shape was meant to call in. You lie back and imagine the dreamscape you're building, constructed not in your mind, but in geometry. The edges of the pillow define your starting point. The concavity guides your inner eye forward like a slide into sleep. Maybe it's nonsense. Maybe it's psychosomatic. But as you drift, there's the distinct sense that this headrest is more than furniture. It's an architectural drawing for where your soul might wander tonight. Fringe tidbit time. There was a short-lived trend during the late Tang era where pillow makers sculpted them into complex animal poses. Frogs mid-leap, birds mid-flight, even oxen mid-moo. The idea that the dynamic motion would translate into active, heroic dreams. It didn't last. Turns out sleeping on a galloping horse's back, no matter how porcelain, wasn't conducive to actual rest. You roll over onto your back again and stare at the ceiling, which is painted with gentle clouds. In this between state, half dream and half thought, you start cataloging the shapes you've seen. Round for peace, crescent for the spirit, rectangular for focus, animal shape for boldness. It's like a secret language no one bothered to translate into footnotes. Even now, dream researchers dig up these ancient pillows and speculate wildly. Was the shape meant to hold the head steady for better REM? Was it meant to mimic a posture associated with meditation? One scholar posited the strangest theory yet, that certain curves were meant to direct subtle airflows around the sleeper's ears, creating a soundscape that altered dream tone. No one's tested it properly. Maybe you should volunteer. Your dreams that night are slow motion and golden. You're walking through an orchard with falling petals, each one chiming as it lands. There's a gate made of woven bamboo, and when you pass through it, a great library unfolds, scrolls floating in the air, written in smoke. A crane bows to you, as if in greeting. You wake with the feeling that something was learned, even if you can't say what. And your pillow. It rests beside you, gleaming faintly in the moonlight. Unapologetically rigid. Unapologetically strange. but somehow tonight it feels like it did its job. Her word count 10A1 awaiting Siontainu Binin Anene Kantiai in ChatGPT 1 section 5. The day's heat lingers in the walls by evening, but your room stays cool thanks to the stone tiles and the light breeze brushing past the open screen. Your host brings in a fresh pillow. This one unlike any you've seen so far. It's carved wood, not ceramic, and its surface bears a spiral of etched lines that seem oddly precise. He sets it down with care and explains in hushed tones. Taoist monks designed this one. They say it keeps the soul aligned as it drifts. You blink at it. It looks like a slice of tree trunk married to a geometry textbook. But your curiosity wins out. You settle your head onto the carved plane, which creaks slightly under your weight, and just like that, you're part of a centuries-old experiment in metaphysical carpentry. Taoism, you soon learn, had its own approach to dreaming. Unlike the strict moral interpretations of Confucian scholars or the bureaucratic symbolism of the imperial court, Taoist thinkers treated dreams as portals, not omens to decode, but places to explore. And naturally, your entry pass was the right pillow shape. These monks, perched high in misty mountains, weren't just meditating and writing poems about cranes. They were also crafting strange headrests based on cosmological principles, aligning curves with constellations, embedding hidden symbols, and creating cradles shaped like yin-yang sigils. According to some records, Taoist sleep rituals included breathing exercises, herbal incense, and careful pillow placement, all designed to guide the dreamer's soul to distant realms. One fringe belief claimed that if your head lay at the correct incline and you inhaled sandalwood smoke, just as the Big Dipper rose, you could travel to the heavenly bureaucracy and argue your karma face to face. You're not trying that tonight, but you do angle the pillow slightly more toward the open window, just in case. Historians still argue whether these dream practices were purely symbolic or if they represent an early form of lucid dreaming. Some scholars believe Taoist monks essentially created a kind of spiritual VRZ, a designed mental landscape accessible through shape, breath, and intention. Others say it's a bunch of sleep, deprived mountain dwellers tripping on pine resin. Tomato. You breathe in deeply and let your head relax into the spiral pattern. It's not comfortable, per se, but it's stabilizing. Like sleeping on a sacred diagram. Within moments, your thoughts slow. The ceiling darkens. The crickets begin their quiet symphony. You dream, you're inside a temple. The walls ripple like water. A sage in white robes stands at a scroll-strewn desk. And without turning, he says, "You've brought a heavy pillow tonight." You open your mouth to respond, but instead of words, butterflies come out. The sage nods. Good. You're almost ready. Then you're falling gently through a forest of floating books. One opens itself, revealing only the etched spiral from your pillow, turning slowly in space. You follow it. You wake with your hand still curled like it's holding something. Nothing's there. The pillow has cooled noticeably since you fell asleep. A faint scent of incense lingers on the air, and a scrap of poetry surfaces in your mind. Something the monk said as he left the room earlier. The still stone sees further than the hurrying foot. That's hauntingly vague, and possibly about taxes. You make a mental note to look it up later. Among Taoist communities, guiding pillows were sometimes passed down like family relics. Some even bore generational markings, each sleeper carving a small notch into the side after an important dream. The result was a kind of sculptural timeline of unconscious wisdom. You imagine inheriting a pillow worn smooth by 6 generations of dream travelers. Would it still work for you? Would your dreams join theirs? In one remote mountain temple, there was reportedly a room filled entirely with these notched headrests. No beds, no cushions, just shelves of carved wood, each one carrying decades of sleeping minds. Some monks claimed they could dream other people's dreams just by resting on a pillow long enough used by someone else. Empathy through osmosis? or perhaps just really vivid imagination. You try shifting slightly, and the edge of the spiral pillow presses into your temple. It's not painful, but you definitely feel something. A pressure that's more symbolic than physical. You start to wonder if the carving itself functions like a visual mantra, a reminder keep circling inward. Keep looking, your sleep deepens again, this time without dreams. Just a vast, calming dark. Like floating in ink, the kind of rest that monks must have pursued. Not frantic visions or cosmic arguments, just stillness. A perfect blank page. And yet, as morning creeps in and birds begin their tentative chatter, you remember one last image. A stone circle, a cup of tea, and a voice saying, "Rest is the truest wisdom." You sit up slowly and place the pillow beside you. It's just a block of wood, carved with care and a bit of flair, but it feels like something more. Not because it's magic, but because generations believed it could be. Chair word count 1088. Awaiting COTINU BMN Vinenikotiue Chat GPT on 98 section 6. The morning mist has barely lifted when your host ushers you into another room. This one lined with cabinets and delicate jars. A gentle, rooty fragrance hangs in the air, earthy, floral, and slightly minty. This, he says, is where we keep the medicinal pillows. You blink. Medicinal, he smiles. Pillows for health, for balance, for stubborn dreams that refuse to stay sweet. You follow him to a low platform where several pillows are arranged in neat rows. Unlike the ornate porcelain pieces or the monk geometry headrests, these look simpler. But lift one and you find it's heavier than expected. Inside herbs, lots of them. You press your ear to the surface and can almost hear them crunch faintly with movement. It turns out that herbal pillows were a huge deal in ancient China, often made of fabric or paper, wrapped bamboo cases. They were stuffed with dried plants, chosen for their physical and spiritual effects. Think lavender sachets on steroids. Tonight's pillow is filled with dried mint, chrysanthemum, and a few small jade stones for yin stabilization. You hesitate for only a second before lying down. The coolness of the jade is immediate, like someone has left moonlight beneath your neck. And the scent? It's wild, cooling, yes, but also strangely energizing, like your sinuses just got politely tapped awake. Historians still argue whether these pillows were more medicinal or mystical. Some say they were part of Chinese herbal medicine, a way to deliver calming or invigorating effects through passive inhalation during sleep. Others insist that the choice of herbs and stones had spiritual logic, mint to clear bad thoughts, chrysanthemum to invite noble ancestors, and jade to keep your essence from leaking out in dreams. The fringe theory. That one eccentric apothecary started this trend, not for health, but for revenge. According to a dusty legend, he once swapped a nobleman's stuffing with extra ginseng to give him absurdly vivid dreams. The man reportedly leaped out of bed, convinced he'd become a tiger. So yeah, herbs weren't always about serenity. Your host offers you a thin scroll titled Pillow Cures for the Restless Spirit. It includes a list of common complaints: dreams of floating, ghost paralysis, excessive nighttime philosophy, and matching herb blends to counter them. One recipe involves wrapping dried mugwort and sandalwood in silk dyed with indigo and placing it under the left ear only. Why the left? The scroll doesn't say. That's just how the universe works, apparently. You lie back on your herbal pillow and exhale. The mint tugs gently at your brain, cooling down the mental clutter. Chrysanthemum lends a faint sweetness that reminds you of tea and rain. The jade presses against your upper spine, grounding you. You feel strangely corrected, like your body is being realigned without a single stretch or crack. And the dreams? You're in a bathhouse made of bamboo, the steam thick with herbal mist. A crane perches on the rim of the pool and nods sagely before disappearing into the fog. You float upward, effortlessly, and pass over a garden where an elderly man plucks mint leaves and places them into tiny ceramic pillows shaped like peaches. When he spots you, he waves and says, You forgot to thank the roots. You wake with a half smile. The jade under your neck has left a slight indentation in your skin, but your head feels lighter than it has in days. This wasn't just restful. This was therapeutic. You spend the rest of the morning helping your host refill the herbal sachets that line the shelves. Each pillow is customized, some for scholars, others for children, and a few for women in mourning, laced with magnolia and sandalwood. There's even one labeled Auntie. Dream, meant to suppress all visions and offer a deep, blank sleep. You raise an eyebrow at that one, and your host shrugs. Sometimes people just need silence. He shows you how to tie the sachets tightly with silk thread, knotting them in patterns that represent clouds, waves, or winding rivers. It's not just the herbs, he says. It's the flow. The energy path matters. You nod sagely, then immediately forget the exact sequence of loops. Still, it's a powerful moment. You're suddenly aware of how deeply personal pillows were in this culture. Not accessories, but prescriptions. Tailored to your mood, your afflictions, your stage in life. The concept of a one-size-fits-all pillow would have seemed laughable. One pillow in particular catches your eye. It's shaped like a flower bulb, soft to the touch, and filled with a blend of ginger, orange peel, and a secret herb your host won't name. This one, he says, is for those who dream too lightly. It brings the dream down like rain into soil. You don't try it tonight, but you can't stop thinking about what that sleep must feel like. The night ends with your head back on your original jade and herb blend. It's not flashy, but it works. As you fall asleep, your breath steady and cool. You realize you haven't felt your heartbeat this quietly in weeks. No dream this time, just stillness and a whisper of mint in the dark. Can word count? 1083 awaiting SOTINE BNNSNTINE ChatGPT Y9 Section 7. The next morning arrives with fanfare. Literally. Outside your window, a pair of traveling merchants are setting up a pop-up stall, complete with embroidered banners, and a man loudly declaring the virtues of imported goat hair carpets. You rub your eyes, still a bit foggy from your dreamless herbal sleep, and step outside into the warm buzz of curiosity. The Silk Road traders have arrived, and they've brought pillows. Turns out, the pillow obsession didn't stay confined to Chinese borders, as foreign goods flooded in along the Silk Road. Silks from Persia, gems from India, glassware from Rome. New materials and sleep philosophies followed. You wander the marketplace, eyes wide, touching fabrics you don't have names for, and marveling at the strangeness of it all. One booth features pillows wrapped in thick wool, stuffed with feathers. Not decorative down, but functional cushioning. You press your hand into one and gasp at the softness. The vendor smiles. From the West, he says. They dream without angles. You immediately want to lie down and test that theory. Another stand boasts pillows made of dyed leather, stiff but warmer to the touch than porcelain. The shapes are odd, some wedge-shaped, others with gentle divots. A few seem designed to cradle the head at a steep incline, which the merchant claims drains the bad dreams down the neck. Sounds made up. But then again, so does everything once you've heard enough dream logic. Historians still debate how much foreign pillow design actually influenced Chinese artisans. Some argue that the Chinese preferred their own symbolic geometry and spiritual resonance, while others point to archaeological finds of blended styles. Pillows with Persian motifs, but Chinese shapes, or Chinese porcelain cradles using Indian dye patterns. One particularly fringe theory suggests that a batch of wildly colorful silk stuffed pillows from Central Asia caused a short-lived Tang Dynasty trend called dream furs, where nobles stuffed their headdresses with exotic animal hair to spark untamed visions. You find this equally fascinating and slightly unsanitary. Tonight, you're invited to test a few of the imported styles. The first is feather-filled, so soft, so yielding, it practically swallows your head. It's strange after so many nights of ceramic and wood. Your neck doesn't know what to do. You lie there, waiting for a dream, but all you get is a weird floaty sensation. Too floaty. Your thoughts unravel like loose thread. When sleep finally comes, it's confusing. You dream you're walking upside, down through a desert, your feet touching stars and your head brushing sand. A camel offers you tea. The cup breaks when you sip. You wake up laughing and slightly disoriented. Next, you try the dyed leather pillow. It smells faintly of cloves and something vaguely metallic. The incline props your head forward slightly, almost like you're bowing. You expect discomfort, but instead it feels intentional. Meditative. You sleep deeply and dream of rivers. No creatures, no people, just endless, winding streams. You wake refreshed, even if your hair now smells like a saddle. The cross-cultural pillow exchange wasn't just about style or comfort. It brought new ideas, too, about how dreams worked, about what sleep could accomplish. Foreigners scoffed at the notion that pillows could shape the soul, while some Chinese scholars found the Western emphasis on plushness to be an indulgent distraction. And yet, something curious happened, a fusion. Artisans began experimenting. Some added feather, stuffed linings to hard ceramic shells, offering the structure of tradition with a whisper of softness. Others borrowed color schemes and motifs, elephants, lotuses, star patterns, blending spiritual significance from abroad with local materials. One famous pillow from the late Tang era bears a blend of Indian lotus symbolism and Taoist poetry. Its inscription reads, "Bloom with each breath, return with each silence." It's said to have belonged to a border, town governor, who hosted traders from 6 different countries, and never once had the same dream twice. As the night deepens, you settle on one final foreign designed, a rectangular cushion, filled with cotton, and stitched with tiny blue stars. It lacks the hard logic of porcelain, the medicinal charm of herbs, or the spiritual curves of Taoist woodwork, but it's gentle, sincere, and as you drift off, you realize the dream it gives you isn't foreign at all. You're sitting by a riverbank, legs crossed, and all around you are pillows. Some soft, some hard, some glowing faintly with the light of dreams not yet dreamt. People from all over the world sit beside you, each cradling their own shapes, their own histories. No one speaks, but you all understand. Because here, sleep isn't just a function, it's a language, and the pillow. It's the first word you learn. Hen word count, 178 awaiting, CONTINU, BNMINKANOTINE, ChatGPT Y9I Section 8, you wake in silk sheets, heart still echoing with the quiet togetherness of that riverbank dream. There's a knock at your door, soft, hesitant, and then a servant enters, bowing low. "The lady of the house wishes your company," he says. "She has a pillow?" Intrigued and slightly suspicious, you follow him through curved corridors and into an airy private chamber filled with sunlight and rose-scented air. There, reclining on a dais carved with clouds, is a high, ranking court lady swathed in layers of silk the color of plum wine. She gestures for you to sit. Beside her is an elaborate lacquered pillow, deep crimson, inlaid with gold filigree that spirals like dragon's breath. "I dreamed of you last night," she says, sipping tea. "So now you must dream of me." You're not sure how the etiquette manual handles this situation, but you nod politely and examine the headrest. It's a striking piece, unlike any you've used so far. Rectangular with rounded ends, it's slightly hollowed at the top, just enough to cradle the base of your skull. On one side, a narrow drawer slides, open to reveal a folded piece of paper. "A record," she says. "Every dream I've had on this pillow. 112 so far. You're speechless?" She's kept track. She nods. Each one part of a larger picture. A web, and sometimes they show what's coming. Historians still argue whether such claims of prophetic dreaming were taken seriously or merely a reflection of court theatrics and internal politics. But the line blurs when someone with influence believes what they see and acts on it. This lady clearly believes. She unfolds a previous dream entry and reads it aloud, A tiger drinks from a silver bowl. The sky splits. I wake cold. She looks at you, eyes sharp. 2 weeks later, my brother was summoned to the capital. Exiled. Coincidence? You try to look neutral. Possibly a coincidence. Possibly not. These so-called oracle pillows were rare but not unheard of in elite circles. Crafted with the finest materials, lacquer, ivory, rare woods, they were often gifted as part of dowries or diplomatic exchanges. The idea was simple: elevate the mind, elevate the dream. And if the dreams came with warnings or rewards, all the better. The pillow before you is heavier than you expect. Weighted, she says, with a core of obsidian to pull truth downward. Another eccentric touch. She claims the artisans who made it followed lunar cycles and included powdered antler in the lacquer. Practice said to bind the spirit gently. Fringe tidbit alert. One obscure record from the early Song dynasty describes a nobleman who believed his dreams would fade too fast, unless absorbed into bone. He had a pillow made from polished ox scapula, inscribed with silver ink, and swore that not one dream ever escaped. Back in the present, the lady invites you to rest your head on her pillow, just for a moment. You hesitate, but curiosity wins again. The lacquer is surprisingly smooth against your cheek. It smells of incense and sandalwood, but also of time, worn in, lived on. You close your eyes, the room tilts, then vanishes. You stand in a courtyard filled with paper cranes. A peach tree blooms overhead, its flowers falling like snow. The lady sits at a stone table, writing dream symbols in a ledger. When she looks up, her eyes are gold. Don't forget this one, she says. It matters. You wake with a jolt. She's watching you, calm but clearly pleased. What did you see? You try to explain. The cranes, the peach tree, the golden eyes. She nods like she expected it. You dream clearly, she says. That's rare. She adds your account to her growing archive, 113. As you rise, she hands you a small gift, a scroll of her own design, wrapped in rose-colored silk. To guide your next dreams, she says. Use it with a cool pillow. That night, back in your guest quarters, you follow her instruction. You pair the scroll with a simple stone pillow, flat and unpainted. Maybe it's the contrast, or maybe her pillow truly rubbed off on your subconscious, but you fall into sleep like slipping beneath a calm lake. And the dream, you're back in the courtyard. But this time, the cranes are made of smoke, and the peach tree is empty. A voice behind you whispers, the dream's not done. You wake with the scroll still clutched in your hand. Her word count 1084 awaiting. COTNE. Beanian Inchi Chat GP Ananche. Section 9. The scroll from the court lady rests near your bedroll, faintly scented and unread. You decide to keep it sealed. For now. Instead, you spend the next morning wandering through the artisan quarter, drawn by the rhythmic clinks and shuffles of hammers, kilns, and careful hands shaping sleep from raw earth. You've arrived at a pillow guild, not just a workshop. This is an institution. A whole compound dedicated to the crafting of ceramic pillows. Inside, the air smells of clay and camphor. Apprentices hustle between rooms, carrying half-formed headrests like sacred relics. In the central hall, master artisans bend over tables scattered with sketches, bamboo calipers, and dream journals. One elder looks up as you enter. You want to carve? He asks. You blink, then nod. Why not? Soon, your fingers are slick with slip as you sit beside a young apprentice, shaping a narrow pillow slab into a shallow crescent. The work is quiet but absorbing. Every curve matters. The apprentice, Jun, barely 16, leans over and whispers, always start with the dream. What kind of dream? You ask. The one you want to remember. Or avoid. You glance at his own project. A pillow shaped like a crouching rabbit, its back hollowed to cradle a head. What's yours? He shrugs. I keep dreaming I'm being chased by a bell. Fair enough. This guild doesn't just teach pillow making. It fosters obsession. Each artisan believes their design influences dreams in measurable ways. Some even test prototypes themselves, napping in shifts to catalog the effects. There's a large corkboard in one studio, covered with pinned dream summaries. Lines crisscross between shapes and symbols, rectangular with fox motif, repeated river dreams. Concave crescent to flying but can't land. Jade inlay to ancestor visit, confirmed. Historians still argue whether this guild's influence extended to actual policy. Rumors claim a few pillows were commissioned directly by palace astrologers, meant to induce dreams matching official interpretations of celestial events. Imagine trying to dream a comet on purpose. But inside the guild, it's less conspiracy and more competition. Artisans whisper about who's been chosen to design the next imperial concept. A headdress meant to induce clarity in troubled minds. You hear tales of failed projects. One pillow caused recurring dreams of drowning. Another led to so much sleep paralysis, it had to be smashed and buried in salt. You're handed a tiny carving tool. It feels like an honor, and also a test. You press it carefully into the soft clay, etching your chosen symbol. A crane in flight, a bit on the nose, perhaps, but fitting. You're carving your own dream now. Jun peeks over and nods. Frames are good. Flight, longevity, clarity. Also mildly judgmental. You mutter, thinking of that dream sage who spoke in riddles. Fringe tidbit. One rogue artisan once carved a pillow entirely in the shape of a snake swallowing its tail. An Ouroboros. Claimed it caused loop dreams that never ended. Was banned? Later revered. Eventually copied. As your pillow hardens in the low kiln heat, the guild master shows you the finishing room. Here, artisans paint glazes with tiny brushes, using mineral pigments to create vivid dreamscapes, mountains, phoenixes, swirls of stars. The kilns hum in the background like sleeping beasts. You ask how long it takes to master the craft. 2 lifetimes, he says. One to learn clay, one to understand sleep. That night, your host lets you borrow a completed guild pillow, celadon glaze, shaped like a sleeping fox. You lie down carefully. It's still warm from the sun and smells faintly of ash and something sweet, like dried jujube. Your dream is vivid. You're walking across a bridge made of jade tiles. Beneath it, koi swim in patterns that match the carving you made earlier. The crane appears, not flying this time, but perched on the railing, watching, waiting. Then you're back in the studio, carving again. Only now your hands are made of clay too. You're not dreaming the pillow. You are the pillow. You wake with your face pressed to the fox's tail. Jun would approve. And just like that, you understand why these artisans stay. There's something addictive about shaping dreams from dust, something deeply human in the act of trying to hold sleep in your hands and leave a mark on it. You roll onto your back, pillow cool and clever beneath your skull, and smile. You made this night possible. You shaped it with intention. And maybe, just maybe, that dream sage would nod in approval too. Chen word count 1085 awaiting. COTINU bunan inai clienti chat GPT vinanai section 10. The next morning breaks harsh and bright. Your pillow, now cold and firm as old stone, rests beside you like a silent co-conspirator. You rub your temples. Last night's dream still clings like fog, and step outside, expecting another quiet day among artisans. Instead, you're surrounded by whispers. A guard appears at the gate. Not yours. Not your host's. Imperial robes. Oh, you, he says, pointing at you. Your dreams are required. That's not ominous at all. Within the hour, you're standing before a local magistrate, perched high on a lacquered platform, his expression caught somewhere between boredom and divine suspicion. He taps a bamboo scroll and gestures to a court scribe, who unrolls it and begins reading. Dream occurred on the 5th night of mid. Autumn. Subject walked across Jade Bridge, observed by crane. Koi formed celestial pattern, consistent with lost northern constellation. You blink. That was your dream? Someone's been snooping. The magistrate narrows his eyes. You dreamt symbols reserved for royal divination. Without authorization, you sputter something about artisan pillows and cranes being trendy. He doesn't laugh. See, In certain periods of ancient China, particularly under deeply superstitious regimes, dreams weren't just dreams. They were political currency. Anyone dreaming of heavenly signs, royal animals, or prophecies could be accused of attempting to claim spiritual authority. Your koi pattern apparently resembled the imperial turtle constellation, reserved exclusively for emperors. Historians still debate how strictly such dream laws were enforced. Some argue they were a convenient excuse to suppress dissent or keep people humble. Others believe certain symbols truly were considered dangerous, mystically or socially, if dreamt by the wrong class. In your case, it's more of an inconvenience than a capital offense. After an awkward silence, the magistrate waves a hand. Bring the pillow. They do. The fox one. He eyes it like it might sprout fangs. This shape, he mutters, has a reputation. Fringe tidbit, fox-shaped pillows were occasionally banned in court circles. Too clever. Too sly. Too likely to invite unpredictable dreams. One empress reportedly demanded all fox pillows be burned after she dreamt of a masked child offering her a bowl of ink. You're released, but with a warning. No more dream symbols above your station. No cranes. No celestial koi. Maybe a dream about dumplings next time. Something humble. You leave the hall slightly dazed. Your host offers you a stiff drink of rice wine and an apology. We forgot to clear the pillow through local channels, he says. Next time, maybe go with a rectangle. That night, you take his advice. Your head rests on a simple, flat porcelain slab painted with a faded bamboo grove. Very modest. Very safe. And yet, your dreams rebel. You're back on the Jade Bridge, but it's upside down now, suspended in the stars. A fox walks beside you, and instead of koi, there are tiny calligraphy scrolls fluttering like fish. A crane. Now it's made of ink, and it's writing you into a scroll as you walk. You wake with your pulse galloping. Apparently, dreams don't care about court restrictions. You tell no one. Instead, you walk the city's quieter streets, slipping into tea houses and bookstores where people talk in whispers about symbolic control and the absurdity of dream policing. One elderly bookseller tells you about a secret society, the Night Scrollers, who gathered to share and document forbidden dreams, trading pillow shapes like smuggled relics. They believed in dreaming the impossible, flight without consequence, divine visions for the peasant, or peace in times of war. They viewed pillows not as tools of control, but keys to liberation. Your host laughs when you mention them. They're long gone, he says. Just a bedtime story. But that night, a tiny parchment appears beneath your modest bamboo pillow. It reads the dream is not the crime. The silence after is. You fold it into your sleeve and don't mention it again. Instead, you sleep quietly, safely, on your unremarkable headrest, and dream of tigers drinking from silver bowls. Again, word count 1085 awaiting Sion TNU Binian by Nini. Santi Chat GPT Linanti Section 11. The tiger dream lingers in your bones the next morning. You chew your rice porridge slowly, eyes drifting toward the guesthouse courtyard, where a servant is carefully laying out laundry beside a row of sun-drying pillows. You count them idlai. 9. All different shapes, materials, and sizes. Then you notice the pattern. The flatter, square pillows are rougher, plainer, with only the faintest signs of glaze or decoration. One is made of stiff linen, the color of damp parchment. Another is wood, with a single faded etching of bamboo. Further down the line curves, porcelain arches, crescent moons, pillows painted with clouds, cranes, calligraphy. The wealth, the artistry, the care, it increases with each shape. You walk over. A maid looks up and shrugs. It's just the way it is, she says. Pillow shapes follow status. Always have? You squat beside the row, fingers brushing the porcelain. It's not just comfort, it's caste. Nobles sleep on art, merchants on lacquered wood, farmers on linen stuffed with reeds. Even sleep has a hierarchy. Historians confirm this. Pillow materials and forms often mirrored the social structure. Peasants used what was available: rolled cloth, bundled straw. Middle-class households might afford lacquered wood or bamboo. The elite, custom porcelain. Maybe even foreign silks tucked inside for emotional gentleness. One fringe record from the Song dynasty tells of a minor official's son who dared to bring home a fox-shaped pillow, normally reserved for nobles. The boy's father shattered it on the steps, shouting, "No dreams above your station!" Harsh bedtime energy. You follow the maid into the sleeping quarters of the house staff. Their pillows are modest rectangular wood, some wrapped in cotton, others bare. One has a small pine branch tucked inside, probably for scent, possibly for luck. They don't hold dreams as well. The maid says, noticing your glance. But they keep your head above the floor, and that's enough. You sleep there that night. Not out of punishment, but curiosity. A flat linen pillow, slightly damp from humidity under your neck. It's stiff, honest, no symbolism, no secrets, and still your dream unfurls a long corridor, lined with unadorned doors. You open one, then another at the third. A voice says, "Even rice needs water to rise." You wake confused, comforted, and deeply aware that your own dreams are starting to sound like motivational posters. Later, in the merchant quarter, you visit a pillow stall catering to the middling classes. The owner shows off a line of practical, but beautiful bamboo pillows, slightly curved, good for summer. We'll call them the Balance series, she says. For people who want clarity without drama. You ask if customers ever request noble designs. She snorts. Only if they've had a raise or a vision. Turns out, some upwardly mobile buyers do start with pillows. A subtle way to imitate higher status. Sleep like a scholar, dream like a noble. Pillow as aspiration. It's not just about dreams, of course. It's about how much you're allowed to carry into sleep. How much complexity. How much symbolism. How much room you have to stretch your spirit. The wealthiest sleepers, you realize, get the deepest, most decorated dream stages. The poorest, a blank slate, if they're lucky. Just enough padding to separate skull from ground. One wealthy artisan confides, half laughing, that she keeps a humble pillow near her bed, just in case. If I dream too richly for too many nights, I switch. Otherwise, I start mistaking the dreams for truths. You nod, half amused. But that night, you do the same. One flat, coarse pillow. And your dream? It's you again, but smaller. Young. Sitting under a tree, eating dumplings, no metaphors, no omens. Just lunch. You wake smiling. Turns out dreams without symbols can still mean something. Her word count 1, zoo under T9, 1 awaiting, COTINU, B9I. Tawani IE, check P12. The non-dissection. The wind has shifted. Warm and wet now, smelling faintly of rain and hibiscus. You've traveled south, deep into subtropical territories where the customs grow stranger, and the pillows heavier. You're here to investigate rumors, half whispers from pillow artisans and merchant wives, of ritual headrests. Pillows used not only for sleep or dreams, but for rites, blessings, even offerings to the dead. The locals call them wadajan, jade pillows. You arrive in a river village nestled in a mist-laced valley, the kind of place where every roof sprouts moss, and everyone seems to know what dream you had before you do. Your host, an elder woman with sharp eyes and a voice like worn silk, greets you on the bamboo dock. "You came for the pillows?" she says, not asking. You nod. She smiles thinly and gestures to follow. Her home is built of dark wood, its beams wrapped with hanging herbs and strange bone charms. In the center of the room lies a stone platform, and on it, a single jade pillow, dark green and smooth as glass. It radiates coolness like a breath from a cave. "We use it for river blessings," she says. "And sometimes for the dead. The tradition here is layered. When someone falls ill or is plagued by bad dreams, they lie with their head on the jade pillow during a river ceremony. The pillow, submerged and then dried, is believed to carry away the sickness. Physical, mental, or spiritual. Sometimes it's left in the water for days. Sometimes it returns. Sometimes it floats back with a mark." Fringe tidbit: One tale tells of a jade pillow that floated upstream overnight and returned etched with a heron-shaped crack. The woman who used it claimed she dreamed of flying ever since, and eventually wandered into the forest and never came back. You ask if this is superstition or medicine. The elder shrugs. Does it matter if it works? Historians still debate the authenticity of these rituals. Some argue they emerged from hybrid beliefs, a blend of Taoism, shamanism, and local folklore. Others believe they predate organized religion entirely. What's certain is that jade, long revered in Chinese culture, was considered a conduit, cold, unyielding, but also pure. You watch as the elder prepares the pillow for ceremony. She wraps it in a red cloth, ties it with a ribbon marked with calligraphy, and places it in a bamboo basket. Then you all walk to the riverbank. There, under a drooping tree, villagers gather. Incense burns. A boy lies beside the pillow, his face pale. His mother sobs quietly. The jade is lowered into the water, held beneath until bubbles stop rising. When it's lifted, it gleams brighter, impossibly so. You're not sure what to feel. That night, the elder lets you sleep with a different jade pillow. An older one, small and rectangular, etched with wave patterns. It weighs more than you expect, like placing your thoughts under a stone. But there's comfort in its heft. You close your eyes, the room filled with river, murmur, and cicada hum. Sleep comes slowly. Your dream is a corridor made of water. At its end, a woman waits, holding a jade stone in her palm. She places it on your forehead, and your mind quiets like a pond. You wake to the scent of wet grass and the faint echo of a flute in the distance. In the village, some say the jade pillows don't grant dreams, but filter them, letting only the true ones through. You like that idea? You've had too many crowded dreams lately. Filtering sounds nice. Before you leave, the elder wraps a small jade shard in cloth and presses it into your palm. Keep it near your pillow, she says, just in case your dreams start speaking in riddles again. You nod, they already are. Chairword count 1082 he, awaiting Ciontin U B9NA. Xotiani ChatGPT1 Section 13. Your journey has taken you through monasteries, court halls, riverside rituals, and now, full circle, back to the city. But something has changed. The pillow stalls are fewer. The dream journals are dustier. And the artisans, many have shuttered their workshops or shifted to making, gasp, actual cushions. Welcome to the Ming Dynasty. The pillow obsession is fading. Not completely. In the wealthiest households, you still see a few porcelain masterpieces. In certain temples, the ceremonial headrests remain on display like ancient relics. But the tone is different now, less reverent, more nostalgic, like a trend that lost momentum and was quietly replaced by something softer. You wander through a faded pillow guild, now converted into a storage warehouse. Cobwebs cling to shelves that once held fox shapes and moon curves. An apprentice sweeps silently in the corner, not even glancing up as you pass. You ask what happened. He shrugs. People want softness now. Sleep, not symbols. Historians point to several factors: the rise of imported bedding materials, changing views of medicine and body care, and a shift toward privacy in the domestic sphere. Sleep becomes personal. Dreams become private. The communal obsession with what your neighbor saw in their dream of plum blossoms. Not so fashionable anymore. One fringe theory even blames poetry. Seriously, some scholars claim that as romantic and introspective poetry gained ground, dreams moved inward. Less prophecy, more melancholy. Pillows followed suit. No more carved animals or spirit-inviting geometry, just quiet shapes, fabric, stuffing, simplicity. You stop at a market stall and see a soft cotton pillow wrapped in indigo, dyed linen. It's filled with cotton, not herbs or jade. There's no inscription, no secret drawer. You press it gently and sigh. It's warm, flexible, forgiving. The vendor nods. This is what people want now. Dreams are their own business. You ask about old styles. He pulls out a small porcelain headrest with a chipped corner. Antique, decorative only. Don't use it. It'll ruin your neck. You buy it anyway. That night, you set the antique pillow beside the soft one. For old times' sake, you rest your head on the soft pillow and instantly feel your muscles surrender. It's absurdly comfortable, almost suspiciously so. You worry briefly that you'll stop dreaming altogether and just sleep. But dream you do. You're in a museum, modern somehow. Glass cases line the walls. One holds your fox-shaped pillow. Another contains the jade piece from the river. A third shows the scribbled scroll from the court lady. People mill around, gazing at them like ancient relics. A child tugs her mother's sleeve. "What's that one for?" she asks, pointing at your crescent-shaped lacquer pillow. The mother replies, "Oh, that's from when people used to plan their dreams." You wake slowly, nestled in the cotton softness, and you realize maybe that's not such a bad trade. After all, sleep itself is sacred. Do you need a moon-shaped chunk of porcelain to meet your subconscious? Maybe not. Later, at a small bookshop, you find a journal with blank pages. The cover reads, "For dreams that don't need decoding." You buy it. That night, you write down your dream. Not to interpret, but to remember. The museum. The child. The quiet awe of seeing a pillow behind glass. You place the antique pillow on your shelf, facing outward like a silent witness. Not forgotten, just retired. The softness beneath your head now feels earned, but because it's yours. Her word count 1, yo 70 and ache, awaiting, see on tayin iming bain e huntini chat GPT whiny. Section 14. The next morning, you walk through a narrow alley that opens into a sunlit courtyard, where time seems to pause. Dust floats in lazy spirals through the air. And there, half buried in the dirt and leaf litter, is a jagged shard of porcelain. You kneel, gently brush away the soil. A pillow fragment. Your breath catches. The curve is unmistakable, a bit of a crescent, glazed in pale green, with a single cloud motif surviving on the surface. The lines are fine, precise. This piece once cradled dreams. A team of archaeologists arrives moments later, their robes streaked with earth. One waves cheerfully and says, "Found another pillow site this week." 5 full fragments. Song Dynasty by the look of it. They invite you to visit the dig. You follow them to a hillside outside the city. There, under shaded canopies and taut ropes, dozens of ceramic pieces lie on padded cloth. Some bear delicate motifs, phoenixes, bamboo groves, moon phases. Others are plain utilitarian. The lead archaeologist explains, "What think this was a discarded kiln site? Possibly a failed guild." You run your fingers over one half intact pillow. It's shaped like a sleeping cat. You smile. One of those feline dreams. Pillows. A fringe favorite of nobles who swore they dreamed better beside imagined purring. But these aren't just relics. They're time capsules. Some are still filled with trace amounts of herbal residue. Ground mint, dried chrysanthemum, crushed jade. You watch as a scientist carefully extracts a few fibers, sealing them in a glass vial like precious DNA. Historians still argue whether these fragments represent a cultural decline or an evolution. Some say pillow artifacts prove the fragility of symbolic culture. That once belief systems change, even sacred sleep tools become landfill. Others claim these pieces show continuity, that dreams were always part of human life, whether inscribed or forgotten. One young intern holds up a nearly complete porcelain crescent. "Can you imagine sleeping on this?" she asks. You nod slowly. "I already have." Later, you visit the storage tent, where shelves groan with labeled boxes. Tang, fox motif, fractured. Jade insert, Reverware. Scribe inscription, faded. You spot one marked, "Unknown Dynasty, Unreadable Symbols." Intrigued, you peek inside. It's a pillow piece carved with circular script you don't recognize. The archaeologist shrugs. Still decoding that one. Could be Taoist. Could be nonsense. Who knows? You lie awake that night, head on your soft modern pillow. The dig site images still vivid behind your eyes. The broken crescent. The unreadable carving. The dream fossils. And then, you dream again. You're in a stone room, lined with shelves of broken porcelain, but each piece glows faintly. You walk slowly, touching each one. As you pass, the fragments whisper dreams they once carried. A boy dreaming of a plum orchard, a widow searching for her husband in rain, a tiger sipping from a bowl of stars. Then, a wall opens, revealing a vast sky. Every star a dream, every dream a pillow, each glowing faintly with remembered weight. You wake in the dark still. The modern world may not craft headrests from lacquer and jade anymore, but archaeologists continue digging, not just for fragments, but for meaning. For proof that our ancestors took their inner lives as seriously as their waking ones. And you feel like a link in that long chain, a sleeper among sleepers, not the first to dream under porcelain, and definitely not the last to wonder what it all means. One archaeologist told you earlier, we don't just dig up objects, we dig up behaviors. You think about that as you turn your pillow over to the cool side. Because even now, even in the soft age of mass-produced dreams, some part of you still wants to sleep with intention. To cradle your thoughts carefully, to lie down with history cupping the back of your skull. Char word count 1085 fabi awaiting. Ciotini binin anini kotini chat GPT wanini. Section 15 Night Falls. And with it comes the final chapter of your porcelain pillow pilgrimage. You're in a quiet museum now, modern, pristine, humming with low lighting and temperature control. The headdress you once used now sit behind glass, labeled and admired like ancient stars, bottled in clay. One room holds a complete exhibit, dream tools of the Tang and Song dynasties. You walk slowly past each piece. The fox pillow, preserved. The river jade pillow, dry but still cool to the touch. A lacquered crescent that looks exactly like the one that sent you flying through ink dreams and celestial gardens. And then there's a new edition, a replica. It's shaped in part from your notes. You were interviewed, you realize. You sketched designs, described sensations, shared odd dreams and stranger whispers. This piece, new and smooth, merges everything. A curve for clarity, a hollow for breath, a glaze that faintly echoes the crescent moon. A curator walks past and nods. Some say these pillows change dreams, she says, pausing at the display. Others say they were just uncomfortable furniture. You both smile. Historians still argue about it, of course. Did pillow shape really alter what people saw in their sleep? Or did the belief in that power simply steer their dreams toward the expected? No consensus. But isn't that the point? The line between symbolism and experience has always been a little blurry. Fringe theory of the night. One scholar claims the real effect wasn't in the pillow itself, but in the ritual of it. The preparation. The way sleepers approached rest like a ceremony. Not just flopping into bed, but entering sleep with intention. Choosing a shape, a scent, a meaning. You return home and try it. You place the soft cotton pillow on your mat. But beside it, your old antique crescent, worn and harmless. You light a bit of sandalwood. You breathe deeply. You lie down slowly as if stepping into something sacred. Your dream begins quietly. No visions. No foxes or cranes. Just a room, like yours, filled with dozens of other dreamers. All breathing gently. All cradled by history. You walk between them, placing your hand on each pillow. One breathes. Another sings. A third glows with dim light. They are alive in some way, not magically, but intimately. Each pillow holds a record, an echo, not of dreams themselves, but of the people who hoped those dreams would matter. And that, you realize, is the point. It was never about the exact dream. It was about believing that sleep could mean something. That your unconscious life deserved care. That the pillow beneath your head was part of that care, that belief, that hope. You wake just before dawn. The world outside is hushed, your body still nestled in warmth. The replica pillow sits nearby, quietly radiant in morning shadow. You turn your soft modern pillow, fluff it once, and lie back with a sigh. Not because you expect a tiger, or a crane, or a celestial koi, but because you know now what cradles your head can cradle your spirit too. So now, let your thoughts slow. Let them drift gently through porcelain corridors, over misted bridges, beside sleeping foxes and dreamless rice fields. You've wandered far tonight, from jade rivers and court scrolls to artisan guilds and forgotten rituals. You've felt the cool press of lacquer, the hush of herbal sleep, the echo of symbols carved long ago by hands like yours. It doesn't matter if the dreams were real or prophetic or simply strange. What matters is how we choose to meet them. Curled on our side, a whisper of mint in the air, our head just slightly raised by something ancient and oddly shaped. You're safe now. The stories are still here, waiting whenever you are. For now, let them settle like dust in moonlight. Close your eyes. Sink softly. You've earned the rest